You're tuned into SEC Sunday Night, part of the Chief Sports Network.
Hit the lights. It's Sunday night. Welcome to SEC Sunday Night Live on the Chief Sports Network and proudly presented by Hewitt Damaduras Law, HDLawSC.com. They are here to get you covered no matter what you have going on, whether it is a personal injury, an insurance claim, you fell down the stairs, the dog bit you or somebody else. Maybe you had a fireworks incident this weekend. Hopefully you didn't have any drinking and driving incidents, but whatever it is that you have, call Hewitt Damaduras Law, HDLawSC.com, and let Brad and Dean take care of you. You'll probably talk to Amanda first, and that is in your favor. She's going to take great care of you and get you right over to one of the guys. I'm Rob Williams, and we are excited to be here with you tonight. We got Casey Cregan coming in later to read the message boards from our friend MBG. As always, we've got some SEC football recruiting talk. We've got Matt Anderson, the late night Gamecock from thebigspur.com, coming over here in just a second to talk about what's been happening in Columbia. Shane Beamer on a little bit of a heater this week. We'll kind of lay that against the backdrop of what's happening in the rest of the SEC, as the 4th of July has become a hot time for not just the weather here in SEC country, but for commitments over the past few years. It's one of the most exciting weeks of the year. We no longer have the hype around National Signing Day, with the early signing period kind of taking a lot of that, and with commitments getting a lot of the drama out of the way. Live commitments have taken over. We don't have that February signing day huge push anymore. Now, I continue to make the argument that it is around July 4th when we see these live commitments happening where we really have this recruiting hype. So we're excited to have Matt here with us to talk about that in just a moment. Again, we want to remind you that we're here every Sunday night on the Chief Sports Network at 8 p.m., and we are covering everything SEC for you. But it's football season, okay? We kind of shade ourselves and we lean a little bit football anyway. And so I just want to say, like, we're taking a hard turn now that the College World Series is behind us. As the dog days of summer, we will blink and quote unquote fall camp, preseason camp will begin, and we'll have reports coming in. SEC Media Days is right around the corner. We look forward to having some of our correspondents and friends and all of those that are going to be present or maybe tapped in at SEC Media Days. I know our friend Chris Marler will be there, and so we look forward to hearing and talking with him over the next few weeks as well. All right, let's bring Matt in here. What's going on, my friend? Long time no see. It's been all of, I think, maybe 3 minutes since I've seen your smiling face there with Cocky and the Cockaboos train behind you. What's happening with you? How was your 4th of July?
Man, I try to always be smiling first and foremost because a lot of people got bigger problems than me. But 4th of July was fantastic, man. Spent it at Lake Murray, watched the fireworks, heard the music. Kids were playing. It was exactly what the 4th of July should be. So very thankful for that. Rob, I see you're in one piece, but I also see the cutoff. And I think I heard a rumor that you had a belly shirt on too. So are you still celebrating?
I can't really stand up in my desk setup right now. But yeah, it is cropped. So we love to show it off a little bit. It's just part of the game, man. You just got to kind of, and it is 4th of July weekend. We're extending the holiday. It's still the holiday weekend. And so we're having a great time over here as it's Sunday night. Listen, when we're on late night, which is on at 7 right before this, by the way, for anybody listening or watching right now that did not catch us in the first hour there, on the late night Gamecock show, or you're on SEC Sunday night, it's a little bit of a different vibe, Matt. Everybody's going back into the week. We're getting our bearings. Sunday scaries are maybe hitting for some people. And so we just need, we understand We need to gear it back.
Look,
We want to
Rob.
create casual conversation for the serious sports fan. That's what happens here on SEC Sunday night. So if you love SEC sports, but you just want to, chat like you're sitting at the diner or the bar or wherever, this is where you come. And sometimes that means, Matt, that we're wearing cropped cutoffs, and that's just is what it
Rob,
is.
I'm just glad you're wearing a shirt because my wife watches this show and I'm not allowed to hang out with people prettier than me. But anyway, no, we're very, very excited. Got a big show here. I know you want to talk about South Carolina recruiting, and South Carolina had a very, very big week over the 4th of July. Look, the Gamecocks got a 5-star commitment in Joshua Dobson, a defensive back. I've watched Joshua Dobson for 3 years now, it feels like. I know South Carolina started recruiting him as an 8th grader. He is a fantastic player, a guy that can go all over the field, quick hips, everything you'd want in a cornerback. It's probably South Carolina's best defensive recruit since maybe Jadeveon Clowney, Rob. I mean, you can fact check me there.
Yeah, and I know it's the highest defensive back ever to commit to the University of South Carolina since these rankings have really been rated and have numbers on them and everything like that, since we've been able to evaluate it in such a way. I forget how many years it's been since, I guess, Rivals really started putting that out, but
yeah, probably like 2000,
something like that.
Maybe like 2000.
Highest rated defensive back, which I think tops Stephon Gilmore as the previously highest rated DB to commit to South Carolina.
Yeah, and you go back, Stephon Gilmore probably should have been a 5-star. I don't think he was. I think he was a very, very high 4-star. If you go back to that recruiting class, I think that Chris Culliver was actually a 5-star for the Gamecocks, but he was a 5-star wide receiver. And people forget that Chris Culliver still holds, I believe, actually fact check me in real time, y'all. But I think he has the most return yards in SEC history combined from punt returns and kick returns. So an electric athlete, but Joshua Dobson is going to be a player that the Gamecocks can kind of build this class around. And then you have Davion Jones, a 4-star. He's listed as a safety. I don't think he plays safety in college. I think he's probably going to be a nickel, a corner, somebody that can play all over the field and just be that Swiss Army knife. He plays in high school with Joshua Dobson. They will be teammates this upcoming season. Joshua Dobson just transferred from Catawba Ridge. And Davion Jones is another kid that South Carolina has had on the radar since he was in about 8th grade. We talk about baseball recruiting starting early. Football recruiting is starting earlier and earlier. So you have 2 kids that are going to come into the program. I don't know if both will be day one starters. They'll have every opportunity to do that at South Carolina. But at the same time, you have 2 kids that play with each other. They know each other's tendencies. It's a good thing for South Carolina.
Yeah, I think that when you look at this, right, Shane Beamer obviously made some noise this week, Matt. When you look at South Carolina, how does this fit in the landscape of the SEC? I think becomes the question. And these battles that South Carolina is finding themselves in are, I don't want to say unique or newer to the South Carolina coaching staff, fan base, etc. But when you do find yourself consistently in battles with teams like Texas A&M or LSU, that is a little more unfamiliar than the in-state battles with Clemson that they've faced, or even the border battles with Georgia or just up the road a little bit with Tennessee. You've had some of these SEC battles historically, but I feel like A&M and LSU have become the new foes somewhat in this cycle for Shane Beamer and the Gamecocks. Your take on what does that mean for a program like South Carolina, who is kind of fighting to elevate themselves, now breaking into that top 25 in recruiting for 2027?
Yeah, South Carolina has been a team that has been in the top 15 to top 30 in overall recruiting classes for, Rob, I mean, the last decade, probably. And it's weird, following South Carolina and reporting on it for as long as I have, you see less battles with Clemson. You see less battles with North Carolina, with NC State. I mean, right now, the Gamecocks are pushing that blue chip ratio higher. And the coaching staff has decided that, look, we have the transfer portal available to us. So we're going to go after the best players that we can. If we cannot get them, then we'll move into the transfer portal and see what happens. But right now the Gamecock recruiting class has a 41% blue chip ratio, which is just 4 and 5 stars overall for your entire class. You know, how many 4 and 5s you have divided by the total number.
Yeah.
And they're getting it done. I'll be honest, Rob, I'm a little bit surprised that the Gamecocks have been able to find this kind of recruiting momentum after a 4-8 season. But I will also say that Shane Beamer and his staff might be top 5 in the country at just relationship building, recruiting. They just need the on-field success to mirror what they can do with the high school kids. So it's interesting because I think that for a program like South Carolina, the transfer portal helps immensely because you have this opportunity to go in and find players that aren't happy with their role for whatever reason that still have talent, plug and play, and then they can be more selective in the recruiting process. And that's exactly what the Gamecocks have done.
Yeah, I agree. And then, you obviously added in-state talent in Nate Carson at the offensive line, and then Brody in the edge, another North Carolina product as you kind of look at 4 kids coming out of the state of North Carolina to the Gamecocks. Here's what I want to do, Matt, here really, really quickly, as we got a couple minutes with you, is how quickly does this I got 2 questions. One's a very South Carolina question, and one's we're going to zoom out a little bit and look at the big picture with the SEC. How does this momentum for South Carolina on the recruiting trail translate or not translate to what is being called a make or break season for Shane Beamer? Let's face it, the national narrative, as we look at it here on SEC Sunday Night, and we may have people here jumping in the chat or just watching us online. We get this from time to time, heavy negativity towards one program or another. We know there's been a lot of negativity around South Carolina and Shane Beamer from a national perspective in terms of coming off that 4-8 season. Some are calling him a dead man walking as they enter this season. What does the recruiting and the momentum of the summer do for that program? And what would you say to people who are not South Carolina fans who look at this and go, yeah, that's great for them, but the whole class is going to just disperse when the staff is gone midseason or at the end of the year?
Well, Rob, I would say the bottom line is they have to win games. I mean, that's true for any head coach, coaching staff around the country, especially the SEC. They're going to have to win games. And look, from a momentum standpoint, it does seem that South Carolina is still in the game with players that committed to other places. And like we talked about off the top here, maybe a couple of minutes ago, they are picking and choosing who they go after. I remember years where if South Carolina could pick off a couple of players from Mississippi State's commit list, they would do it. They passed on that this year. There is a prominent 4-star defensive lineman that the Gamecocks passed on and let him go to Clemson. Well, will that come back to bite the Gamecocks? I don't know. But what I will say is I don't think that this recruiting class is necessarily done, but it all hinges on the success of Shane Beamer. I mean, if you want me to say how many wins does Shane Beamer need, I don't know the answer, because I do think that he has a substantial buyout even after this year. And he has shown the track record that he can produce with relationships. And then if he can produce with relationships plus wins, the sky is the limit for Shane Beamer. So Kendall Briles is going to be a big piece of this. Randy Clements is going to be a big piece of this. And it's what is the trajectory of the program after this season? If they go 4-8 again, I do think Shane Beamer will be fired. If they go 5-7, I think Shane Beamer will be fired. So I think SEC coaching staffs and other conferences that are competing against South Carolina for recruits do have a valid argument there. But I don't know which way it's going to go until the season plays out.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the thing for everybody right now. And I try to remind myself and our listeners and everybody else that we are going to talk about schedules. We just went through 16 weeks of team breakdowns and schedule predictions, and I give our spring schedule predictions, which are always fun. I was down a little bit last year. I was at about 71% accurate. 75% in 2024. We're looking for a comeback this year, Matt. We're going to see how high I can get that prediction percentage. from a spring standpoint. We don't waffle on picks. We don't go back and change them. Once we're done, we're locked. We're going to see what happens. But yeah, I mean, as we look at the national perspective, it is talking season right now, and we don't really know until we get to the field. But when you look at a recruiting standpoint, one team that stands out to me in the SEC that we have a lot of questions about in 2026 and the new staff is Florida. But they're tied for second nationally with 16 blue chip recruits. They're 8th nationally overall in recruiting right now. So they're selling a vision in Gainesville. Obviously, Texas A&M has the number one class in the country right now. When you look at South Carolina against the backdrop of the SEC, you have Texas A&M, Texas, Oklahoma, Florida, LSU, Auburn, Ole Miss, Georgia, Kentucky, and then you have South Carolina coming in that in the national recruiting rankings as it stands today. Matt, you mentioned kind of South Carolina wins games. You may put some other guys in the boat that are going to shift things around with that. Do you think that the high school recruiting should be reflective of what we're going to see on the field? And who surprises you out of that list from an SEC standpoint?
Nobody truly surprises me off that list from an SEC standpoint. I mean, we'll say Ole Miss and Kentucky aren't traditional blue bloods, right? Sure. Kentucky has hype with a new head coach.
A lot of hype.
Will Stein has come from Oregon, set all kinds of records, with yards per game, scoring, all of those things. So I can understand the hype. Ole Miss has a lot of momentum from Lane Kiffin just saying, I'm going to divorce you guys like I've divorced other people. And now, like, there's some hope in Pete Golding. But yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. I think this is the you have the deep end and the shallow end of pools, right, Rob? This is where South Carolina plays. They're not really going to be able to play in the deep end, and we'll see what happens the rest of the way. But the recruiting itself, it's important to fans, but until they play the game, what does it really matter? It's important to recruits to build momentum, and maybe, the Gamecocks start 5-0, you start seeing some official visits, and you start seeing some unofficial visits, and you see these guys maybe jump back in the boat. But it's the same for every school, Rob. I mean, National Signing Day is in December. We'll see where everybody lands.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have Casey Cregan on here in just a moment, and I'll close out with this with you, Matt, and we'll do a break in between you and Casey, because he's a Clemson guy, if you didn't know that. So I'll try to keep Tigers and Gamecocks separate, and we won't put them on the screen at the same time. But I know that our friend MBG had a board from Gamecock Central this week where the question was asked: is Shane Beamer the greatest recruiter, in the best relationship builder in the country? I don't know if you saw this.
I saw that thread.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw that thread. And obviously, when we look at what MBG does, he's going to pull the best boards, and we always highlight those things here in our segment called "It Just Means More Genius," where we look at the fanatical opinions of fans in the SEC. But I don't think that one is super far-fetched, Matt. And I don't want to sound biased, and people know where my allegiances are too, in some cases, watching the show. But I do think that there's an argument made for Shane Beamer being one of the top recruiters in the country, given the 4-8 and what he's still been able to do with the relationship building around the country. Again, we'll see where it finishes. Your thoughts there on the way out?
Yeah, on the way out, I'll just say that South Carolina right now, if you look at, Rivals on 3, they have a 50% blue chip ratio, which just means where somebody was recruited in high school, and if they're a 4 or 5 star now, or, the entire roster combined, they are recruiting above their punching class. I'll put it that way. I don't know if Shane Beamer could sustain the success that, Kirby Smart has. But at the same time, like, if you say that there's not many programs in the country that can go 4-8 and have a top 25 class on July 5th. So I'd say he's one of the best recruiters in the country, best in the country. I don't know.
I would give to that note, I don't know how hard it is. This is going to sound really bad. How hard it is to be the best recruiter at Georgia or Alabama.
Yeah. I can tell you this, Rob, like, Will Muschamp came to South Carolina, and he brought an all-star cast in of recruiters, but they'd only recruited to big names. And then when you get to South Carolina, the recruiting game becomes different. So, you know, the Blue Bloods are always going to have a great recruiting class. It doesn't matter who the coach is, because you're going to sell that new message. You're going to sell whatever it is. You're going to say, hey, if you're at Georgia, you'll win the Heisman if you're a running back. But we'll see.
That's why I'm selling guys like Shane Beamer and Will Stein and such as top recruiters right now. Matt Anderson of the Late Night Gamecock Show. He's the Late Night Gamecock himself, and he is on thebigspur.com. Make sure you go check him out, thebigspur.com, Gamecock Central, covering it all. Thanks, Matt, for being here with us. We appreciate you. Check him out with me every Sunday night right before this at 7 o'clock on the Late Night Gamecock Show. Thanks, my friend.
I appreciate being here. Hell of a great night. See ya.
That's Matt Anderson. When I come back in just a moment, we've got Casey Cregan here to tickle our ears. But first, let's take a moment to hear from our partners here on SEC Sunday Night Live on the Chief Sports Network.
At TriFit Physical Therapy and Performance, we believe true health and peak performance start with personalized care. Whether you're an athlete recovering from injury or just chasing your next personal best, we're here to guide your journey. With expert coaching, hands-on therapy, and transparent cash-based pricing, you get the care you need without the insurance red tape. One client drove 100 miles just to see us and said it was worth every mile. Contact us at trifitperformance.com or 803-353-5619. TriFit Physical Therapy and Performance, where recovery meets results.
When playing sports, you want a coach that will fight for you. At Hewitt Diamaduros Law Firm, we've got your back. Whether it's personal injury, insurance disputes, negligence, or wrongful death, our team delivers exceptional legal services that makes meaningful difference in the lives of the individuals and families we work for. Visit hdlawsc.com. hdlawsc.com. Hewitt Diamaduros, we're on your team.
OTC is go. Go. PTC is go. LPS is go.
Houston flight is go.
Pilot go. FTM is go. Safety com is go. STU is go. LRD is go. SRO is go. CDI is go. Launch Director, NTD, our launch team is ready to proceed at this time.
It's SEC Sunday Night, presented by Hewitt Diamaduros. Visit hdlawsc.com. It's go time.
Welcome back to SEC Sunday Night Live on the Chief Sports Network and proudly presented by Hewitt Diamaduros Law. Thanks again to Matt Anderson, the Late Night Gamecock of thebigspur.com, being here with us to talk about Shane Beamer's recruiting trail this week, which kind of elevated South Carolina into the conversation nationally with the 2027 recruiting class. Still 10th in the SEC, though, Casey, because of how deep it is and what you have to fight through. You talk about 10 out of the top 25 classes, and then you have 2 more if you go to the top 30. So that'd be 12 in the top 30 all SEC teams. Casey Cregan, the esteemed and award-winning producer of the Message Board Genius podcast, is with us. New episode this week. It just dropped. I saw it keep popping up on my feed. Saw the socials. Lots of questions for you. First of all, how are you, and what did you do for the 4th? What's going on? Did you got all your fingers? We're good to go?
Yeah. That's always my question I ask everybody. Like, hey, I don't know how many you started with yesterday, but did everybody leave the 4th of July parties with all their digits? We did. We did happen to be at the beach with the family, a little Defusky Island action, and saw the fireworks from every which way, man. It was awesome. Went out to the beach last night, saw fireworks at Tybee Island and Hilton Head and Shelter Cove and all the names down here, Bluffton, all the names down here in the Low Country. But it was awesome. But I'm ready to I hesitate to say I'm ready to get back to work tomorrow, but I'm ready to get back to work tonight. How about that?
That's it, because we do have work to do here in terms of message boards and SEC football hype, which we'll get to in just a few minutes, Casey. Yeah, I do have a story for you off air though about my firework experience yesterday. Good story. Yeah, yeah, lots of fun. We talk about the 4th of July. Obviously, this is not an SEC point, but fill us in on your World Cup experience. What's been going on in the world of soccer for anybody out there who's tuned in? Maybe tuned in right now, or maybe you are just a pure American and the weekend has juiced you up on red, white, and blue, and you're just going to turn it on tomorrow. For those of you watching, listening, we know Casey's tuned into every second of it. What's going on?
Yeah. The big news today. Well, there's 2 points of big news. I think the USA, Flo Balogun, has got his red card suspended, which is weird wording. But then again, soccer kind of has a weird language of its own. So he will play tomorrow, which definitely raised the ire of Belgium. So again, it's like football in the way that one person doesn't necessarily make your team that much better, but in this case, maybe he does. He kind of gives you that other attack. But the other big news is one of the world's favorites, 5-time champion Brazil, gets knocked out by Norway today. And that dude Haaland that plays for Norway, I mentioned that Lukaku from Belgium reminds me of Derrick Henry. Haaland is like Derrick Henry too. That dude's just huge. He uses his body. World Cup's been great, man. I know there's some anti-soccer fans in this country. We are a football crazed nation, but it's been fantastic. And my thing is, and what I tell everybody is, it's every 4 years. So it's like we don't get to see this every day. And I don't watch club soccer. I don't watch any of the Manchester Uniteds or any of that. I don't know where these guys play, but for some reason, when the World Cup comes, I am locked in. And the U.S., I was telling my son earlier tonight, that this is the best U.S. team I've ever seen. And I watch a lot of U.S. soccer, and it's not particularly close at this point. And maybe it's, because it's recency bias, but it just seems like they're attacking, and we didn't ever usually attack.
Well, we'll also see kind of how the run finishes up for them, right? And I think that will really –
it may be tomorrow, Rob. It might be.
Yeah, but that will tell the tale of where they fall historically on the USA soccer kind of ladder in terms of how deep is this legend going to run when this story is over with? Because you're right, it could be recency bias, but if this run continues for them, it won't matter that it's recency bias because it will surpass what we've seen from them before, and it will cement itself. So Casey's here to give us the update on the World Cup. The other phenomenon of the summer that's outside of SEC scope is, of course, Love Island. So if you have your favorite couple that you would like to discuss and you're here in the chat, if you are a husband or boyfriend who has been gently coaxed into watching that, I'm here for all the takes. Okay, Melanie's the number one in the house, but I don't like her connection with Sincere that much. Okay, getting a lot of hate for KC after what happened there at Casa Amor. We're going to see how everything plays out. Bryce and Trinity are in game. They're going to win the show. If they don't, I'm going to be upset about it. And Corbin is the most quotable character in the entire show. So if you needed a reason, guys, gals, ladies, if you're here tonight, we applaud you for being sports fans and tuning in, and we love you. We want you to be here. We have a lot of women in sports moments on this show. If you're a guy who maybe has some trouble, we had big numbers for Father's Day, Casey, and I joked around, leash was a little longer. Okay. Snuck away again this week, and you made it because it's a holiday weekend. You're here with us. Make sure you tell your wife we talk Love Island, and she should tune in next week too. Okay. All right.
That's really good. And I will tune in.
Yeah, I'm tuned in right after this. 9:00. We got another episode. Okay. So we got to see what's going on in the villa. It came to mind because I saw an announcement today that they're going to show the World Cup final in the villa at Love Island. So if you're not familiar with that type of dating reality show, they turn it around in 24 hours. So everything they're showing on live TV happened yesterday. They turned the entire episode around, and it's on every day. It's on 5 nights a week, and the 2 nights it's not on, they have a recap show. So just in terms of production, it's unreal. It's phenomenal. I don't know how they do it. Yeah. Okay. It just means more. Genius. It's time to break it down. Our good friend MBG supplies us each and every week with these moments and more. You want to see them, we want to give them to you. Casey is here to tickle our ears as always. Casey, I was on the Late Night Gamecock show before this. We had a brand new intro jingle tonight, a brand new intro video, and it was very late night Gamecock. And I said, you know what? I feel like Casey's here tickling our ears a little bit here with the new intro. So without further ado, let's go to SEC Grant and see if you can read again tonight.
Oh yeah, I gotta put the glasses on. All right, MBG says Tennessee will win the national championship by 2027 at the latest. Lulu Docs Inc. says this board doesn't have a clue about the powerhouse Tennessee football is becoming. Best defensive coordinator in the country, best strength and conditioning coach in the country, best offensive mind in the country. We basically stole Penn State's defense and some solid guys out of Auburn as well. Our defense will be instantly upgraded big time, returning 1,000-yard running back, multiple 5-star wide receivers, and good tight ends. On paper, we have the best linebacker core in the country. It all comes down to our superstar 5-star phenom in Faison, who's currently wowing everyone in camp and is beating out the very talented sophomore George McIntyre. Mark this down. We will win a national championship by 2027 at the latest. Our players will be bigger, stronger, faster, and much more mentally tough than your guys because Indiana's ex-strength and conditioning coach, who turned 2- and 3-stars into monsters, have been putting our guys through hell so far from all reports. Tennessee football is going to straight up bully the rest of this conference in the near future. LSU is in big, big trouble this year when they come to Knoxville. I predict our young QB has better stats in that game than Levitt because of our linebackers, and D-line are going to make his life miserable on that specific day. So it's kind of odd to hear Tennessee fans so braggadocious, isn't it?
Yeah. I've never seen it before. I've looked for it on X specifically, and it's difficult to locate. Can you see the date on this? On the post itself, I can't read it.
It says
Your eyes
June.
are much better than mine.
A member says no. I can't see it either.
I'm just curious. Obviously,
it was edited on July 2nd, 2026.
Okay, so since we've been on the air, I believe, or maybe right before we were on last week, Chaz Coleman medically dismissed from the team. We've talked about this multiple times. I spoke with some members of the Tennessee staff to kind of get some clarity around the situation. Some things that I can share, some things that I can't. I don't think that it is what it appears on the surface. But losing a player that there were such high expectations for, and that they really went and got in the portal, where it looked like, by all accounts, South Carolina was really strong in that from the SC standpoint, but really the team to beat was Ohio State, and he wanted to go back there because that was close to home for him, leaving Penn State. Obviously, he had the connection with his position coach going to Columbia, South Carolina. You have the home team in Ohio State. Those seems like the two front runners, and then out of nowhere, hours before an announcement was made, Tennessee swooped in and got him, allegedly on a high paycheck. So we will. I just wonder, does that impact them at all? It appears he has not really been on with the team as much. So maybe it's not as big of a distraction as if he was more entrenched and built relationships there. What does it do for their edge room when you look at their ability to get after the passer? The poster here in SEC Rant says that they're going to really get after Sam Levitt and dominate the line of scrimmage. And I'm probably misquoting some things, but the level of confidence here is rather astounding and off the chart. So I don't know. It's a lot to input a new defense. Obviously, you have Jim Knowles coming in there. It's a brand new fit. I think things are going well based on what people I've talked to, and from a system standpoint, the ease that it can kind of be input with. I think that it's an easy defense for them to install. I don't know though, Casey. It's Chris Marlar's been on here and been really, really high on Tennessee. And that's saying a lot, because I don't think he wants to say that. I think he would say that if he was here. It's like, I don't want to think they're going to be good, but he thinks they're going to be really good. For me, the question always is going to come back to the quarterback position. You have a true freshman and a redshirt freshman that are continuing to battle it out. The word that I've been given is that McIntyre is, laser accurate, big arm, but obviously in the pocket. And then I think the quote that I had was that Faison Brandon is that dude. And that was from a coach. But he just does things that you can't really put on paper. And for me, it just appears like it's a matter of time before he takes over that job. I just don't know. Does he start the year, or is it to borrow from your memory bank, is a little more like Trevor Lawrence, and he comes in and takes over kind of midway through? If that's the case, does that mean Tennessee's struggling when he takes over, or does he just jump, or does he just jump? Does he just overtake? Because if McIntyre is playing and they're winning, do you make a quarterback change? You know what I mean? Like the Trevor Lawrence thing was unique because they were, forgive me if I'm getting this wrong, but there was an injury, correct, that kind of facilitated the ability to make that move.
Correct. But he was also playing like every game anyway. It wasn't just thrust him in. There was still packages for him. Yeah.
But it became a thing where he kind of got to take the reins because of an injury. That's something we can't predict. So I think the ability, that's almost a gift in disguise for Dabo to be able to make that shift without any team drama or kind of upsetting the apple cart of, well, we got this guy who's been here and he has more buy-in with the guys, but then you have the talent with the young guy. And how does that dynamically shift and change? That's the question mark for me. How does Josh Heupel manage that, and what happens with this team? I don't know. I don't have that much confidence. I think they're going to be good. I do. I think they're going to be a little better than what some people think, but I don't know that they're going to be that good.
Well, this might be the year to get Alabama for them.
Maybe. We just broke down Alabama on the Late Night Gamecock show with Justin Lyles with sportscapvalue.com. And so obviously he's looking at it from a handicapping standpoint. And we went through the roster. We've done this here on this show too. We went through the roster. You look at I think the lines of scrimmage are the weak points for Bama, but I think Keelan Russell is a stud at the quarterback position, assuming he wins it. But J.C. Sherbert has said multiple times, and this is a great point, Kalen DeBoer and that whole offensive staff has struggled with dual threat guys. They've done really well with guys who kind of fit their system, and Penix and even Ty Simpson last year. But then they had Milroe, who was the ultimate dual threat, and they struggled. I think Keelan Russell is a little more balanced than Milroe was and not so run heavy. But can their system adapt to that skill set, or is it just a wasted talent? That'll be the question at Alabama. So to your point, maybe it is their year to get them again. I don't know.
Well, that's probably, and they have LSU too, and it's the SEC. I understand that, but the schedule kind of shapes up nicely for them from the East. Do they get? There's no East anymore, is there? But do they get South Carolina? Where do they get South Carolina this year?
In Columbia, and historically that one is a home team. You're talking about Tennessee, yeah. So Furman, Georgia Tech, Kennesaw State, Texas, Auburn, and all those are at home. So they start 5 home games. At Arkansas, go to Bama, at South Carolina, Kentucky at home, A&M in College Station, LSU at home, at Vandy.
So 3 away games in a row. There's got to be a bye week in there somewhere too, doesn't there?
Yeah. You're going to go at Arkansas. No, that's not 3 in a row. At Arkansas, Alabama at home, at South Carolina.
Oh, okay. I thought you said that at Alabama. Okay,
got it. Then you do have a bye week, after that.
If they went 3 away games in a row, because
they're doing 5 home. With 5 home games, yeah,
especially when you're only getting what 7 a year, 8 maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. That's crazy.
Let's move on to the next one. Oh, this is the one I mentioned earlier with Matt, but I'll let you read it.
All right. South Carolina fans think Shane Beamer may be the best recruiter in the country. Zethis. Is Beamer the best recruiter in the country? He says, I'm dead serious. When his back is against the wall, guy comes out swinging for the fences. Another guy, McMain 12 says, I think so. Think about our best recruits in the modern era. He recruited most of them. Will Muschamp was perceived as an elite recruiter, and he couldn't do what Shane is doing.
I think that both of those comments are accurate. I don't know that Matt just said it, and I would agree too. Like, the best in the country is a stretch, but the comments about back against the wall comes out swinging and recruiting above Muschamp are both accurate statements. From your perspective in the state of South Carolina, where do guys like Shane Beamer or even what Will Stein's doing in Kentucky, closing in on a top 20 class in Lexington in year one, cycle one for them, where do some of these coaches that are in the middle to bottom of the SEC, quote unquote, how do they rank nationally? What's the perception of guys like that? I think it's easy, Casey. I said this. You may have heard me say it right before the break. I think it's a little easier if you have a historically dominant logo on your shirt to walk in and recruit. You don't have to be as good at sales, and that's what it is, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think this poster is crazy, saying best ever, no question. But he's really good. And I do have a couple friends that are football coaches in this state that went to school with me that both say they love Shane Beamer, and his staff is coached up by him to be really, really great recruiters and great guys. And I think that speaks volumes. Now, that's just, I don't know if it's micro or macrocosm, but it's one of those two. The smaller, that's just South Carolina. I think Matt said it perfectly. Now they're going out and getting guys. I mean, they got the Dobson kid, the 5-star kid. And maybe it does somebody, sour grapes coming from across the state saying, oh, they paid for him. But you know what? That relationship has to get you in the door. I don't care what they paid for him. Doesn't matter. That's legal now. So it doesn't matter if they outbid somebody. He had to come in the door first. You're not just going to be like, hey, you don't like me, we're not going to get along, but I have more money than anybody else. Probably you would hope that a mom or dad would step in and say, no, you know what, I'm good over here where I really like the coaching staff that I know is going to produce or get me ready for the NFL, rather than you just throwing money to try to think we're going to get there. But anyway, off the soapbox. I think perception in the conference, there's no question. I think Shane is one of the top, if not the top. And yeah, Kirby recruits himself at this point. Now, he built himself up, I think, but he's also used the Saban technique, whatever that may be. He was there for how long? I mean, he knows how to do it. He was one of Saban's top recruiters as well. So it makes sense that translates. I thought Billy Napier was a heck of a recruiter too, just didn't translate on the coaching side of things. He was a great recruiter at Clemson. He was a great recruiter at Florida as well. He got names, but I don't know. I don't remember where the question was because I just keep rambling.
That's the beauty of it, is that we never know. When you're talking, we can't tell that you're rambling because the beauty of you tickling our ears, Casey. I went
way too deep on that money thing, so and then I didn't know how to get back on.
Well, it's not a bad point. I think the philosophies when it comes to money are what's interesting to me in terms of high school recruiting, because that's what we're talking about here. And I think we can also talk about portal recruiting, but it's a little bit of a different animal. It sounds the same, but it's different.
It's a lot different. Yeah.
It's different. And I think that, philosophy of several programs that I've heard, to include South Carolina, to include LSU and others, is not overpaying for high school talent. And you pick and choose, and you may spend a little more on one or two that are kind of like cornerstone pieces of a class, but setting a value and not being willing to go over. And the stories of high school kids that are asking for X amount of dollars that are equivalent to what established college football players are making, it's interesting. But then you see them go somewhere else, which means they got it. Somebody gave it to them. So that's just really interesting to me when we look at the whole league and really the whole country, from program to program. What does this staff do versus what does that staff do? How do they break it down? What's their philosophy of how much they're going to pay? What's the roster management look like? Because it's a completely different game, Casey, than what we've seen in the past, because there's so much more involved in putting these rosters together, especially when we don't have a solid cap. Everybody has a different cap because everybody knows how much money's in the coffers, but you're not kind of playing with the same deck everywhere either. So you have to shift those dollars and kind of shuffle things around a little bit differently from program to program.
Yeah, and I do. I was introduced to a coach that you know and is now elsewhere, and I sat and asked him. Like I felt like what's his name? God, I can't think. Is it? You remember that time when Chris Farley? Sorry,
Yeah, yeah.
I felt like I was that guy asking this coach questions about NIL and stuff. And basically, the point is, yeah, some guy in the portal, it's 100% about the NIL. It's 100% about how much are you going to give me? I'll go wherever. I've already been over here, and I'll go over there for whatever. In high school, I think there's that fine line too, right? You have that 5-star linebacker you got 3 years ago for $50,000. Now you got a 3-star kid that's asking for $250, and it's made public knowledge, or at least they start talking because they're kids. Now, do you have strife in the locker room that somebody else is getting paid more than this? I mean, it's a fine line in high school, I think.
And I'll say this, and we'll throw the next board up. But you talk about it's a fine line in high school. What's really going to get fun, and I use that word very loosely there in jest. Yes, for sure. Air quotes. It is when this NIL conversation truly trickles down to high school rosters. How do high school coaches manage that? Because we're already seeing it to a degree in some parts of the country. I know where we live, the high school portal is a big piece of what's happening. It's really swirling right now in the summer. So everything that happens in college does trickle down, and it's going to get interesting to see how we've seen college coaches manage it or not manage it or embrace it or walk away from it. High school coaches are going to be another animal. Okay, to Austin.
All right. MBG says Texas A&M is spending money on recruits because they're insecure. I love this. I love that headline. That was fantastic. Franco Bevo 2.0 says it's likely more money, but it comes with the same motivations of insecurity, the need to, quote, win something, delusion, and agricult-ish mentality. I predict it will flame out, maybe not as spectacularly as the last one, but they ain't winning jack beep that matters ever. So
they're not wrong right now on that last statement. I think that Texas fans have a reason to talk this way because of how Texas A&M has, crapped the bed in the big moments, for lack of a better word there. You know what I mean? That I don't think that Texas A&M ain't ever winning jack bleep that matters, to quote the poster again. I think they will. I think they will eventually. I think they have to. I think I like Mike Elko. When we look at this scenario, Casey, if I want to say who has put them in the best position to elevate, we look at the last handful of coaches that have been in College Station. I'd take Elko. Yeah, but got to prove it. Still have to prove it. A step up last year. When you look at a team like Texas A&M, that schedule this year, obviously, we've already picked it here on this show. I picked them to go 8-4, because they start with Missouri State. They have Arizona State. They have Kentucky. They got to go to LSU. That's going to be interesting. They have Arkansas. They got to go to Missouri. They have the Citadel. They have to go to Alabama. And they get a bye week. Then they're at South Carolina, who they've had trouble with. They host Tennessee, travel to Norman for Oklahoma, and then finish up with Texas. So you have schools like Texas, Oklahoma, LSU, and Alabama all on the schedule. And then you've had trouble if you're Texas A&M with South Carolina. Obviously, last year they fought back into it. The year before, they got absolutely waxed in Columbia. So it's another prove-it year for them. But it's always funny to see this back and forth. Texas and Texas A&M, Casey, you tell me. This is your world. Is it one of the best? Is it one of the best back and forths that we have?
There's no doubt about it between them and maybe Ohio State and Michigan on the boards, but there's a lot of self-loathing there. But yeah, Texas A&M is arguably the number one battle on message boards, no question, and that includes Clemson and South Carolina, which sometimes can get heated. No
doubt about it, but that one flies under the radar too.
It does.
Speaking of frequent flyers,
Auburn fans have pathetic expectations, says MBG. This is from the corner, Dev 1988. He's been a regular on our show, and I think this one as well. He says, pathetic what our expectations are. Goalish won't make it past year 3 if it's just 6 wins this year. How come every other SEC team wins more?
Every other SEC team, all of them.
That's fantastic.
All of them.
You think he's crying when he's writing this out?
I think it's close. I think he may have already cried. and this was what he was able to produce post cry.
Sounds like my 8-year-old going, no, why does everyone else win instead of me?
Everybody else. You know, the biggest question that I have about these Auburn boards, they always seem to come out of nowhere. What happened? Who said something? There has to be a press conference. There had to be a public statement. It has to be something on Twitter or something that one of their beat writers picked up from Goalish or, somewhere. These things come out of nowhere. They just spontaneously combust, Casey. I don't know where there's never a major event seemingly that makes it outside of Auburn, Alabama. The furthest it's going is Opelika. We don't have the news making it out of a 10-mile radius. Yeah. So we're really panicking over the small stuff on the plains.
And 6 wins would probably be okay this year. I know that's not what the fans want, but for them in year 1, Goalish 6-7 wins.
I agree.
I don't know their schedule off the top of my head, but first year, brand new coach, brand new system offensively. At least I know he's got that Durkin, right, from Maryland as DC, arguably the best defensive coordinator in the country. Someone told me. Yeah, I mean, 6 might be low. 6 might be low, but like 8, I think 8-4 in Auburn would probably be. Well, they might build a statue this year.
It's interesting that you said that because I'll run through it here, and then we're going to take our final break. When we come back, I'm going to run through the over-unders with Casey, and we're going to get his thoughts on just right off the dome.
It's a big dome.
Which one should it be? And are these numbers in the wrong place? But I'll give you Auburn really quick. They start with Baylor in Atlanta. Then they host Southern Miss and Florida Vanderbilt 3 weeks in a row. So 3 home games. Then they go to Tennessee, bye week at Georgia, host LSU, at Ole Miss, host Arkansas, at Mississippi State, Samford at home, and then go to Tuscaloosa. So they've got some tough ones in there. They've got some tough ones. I had them at 7-5.
There's some wins on the back end, though.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
The Iron Bowl.
One more break here. Thank you, Casey, for being here for It Just Means More Genius. And when we come back, we'll close the show by getting Casey to just spit out some answers for us. It's SEC Sunday Night on the Chief Sports Network.
When playing sports, you want a coach that will fight for you. At Hewitt Diamaduros Law Firm, we've got your back. Whether it's personal injury, insurance disputes, negligence, or wrongful death, our team delivers exceptional legal services that makes meaningful difference in the lives of the individuals and families we work for. Visit hdlawsc.com. hdlawsc.com. Hewitt Diamaduros, we're on your team.
Oh, man, the building is on fire.
Emergencies and accidents happen. When you're in the middle of a fire or water event, all you want is for things to return to normal as soon as possible. Resto Pros of the Midlands is with you, guiding you through the process and working with you to get your home or office back in working order. They'll answer your questions, discuss procedures, and can act as your advocate when it comes to processing your insurance claim. Resto Pros Midlands SC.com. Open 24/7 when you need them. Quality that is guaranteed.
At TriFit Physical Therapy and Performance, we believe true health and peak performance start with personalized care. Whether you're an athlete, recovering from injury, or just chasing your next personal best, we're here to guide your journey. With expert coaching, hands-on therapy, and transparent cash-based pricing, you get the care you need without the insurance red tape. One client drove 100 miles just to see us and said it was worth every mile. Contact us at trifitperformance.com or 803-353-5619. TriFit Physical Therapy and Performance, where recovery meets results.
Yo, what's up?
Baby, let's go.
Welcome back to SEC Sunday Night Live on the Chief Sports Network, and we have Casey Cregan here with us as always. Casey, we've already predicted the schedules here on SEC Sunday Night. Craig and I, as always, with our spring predictions. I am 2-0 in the last 2 years, competing against him in those win total percentages. But we'll see how it goes this year. We were a little more aligned this year than we've been in the past. Not too much variance. We'll see where we both got it wrong, because inevitably there's going to be one or two teams that really got it wrong. I want to get your take here with the over-unders. I'm going to run through each team in the SEC. We'll start from the bottom and work our way up. Arkansas is at 4.5, Casey. Brand new coach. When you look at Arkansas, you got to start over under Silverfield. Over or under 4.5 wins?
Under.
Is there any reasoning there, or are we just shooting it straight?
I'm shooting it straight. I have not even, I don't know anything about many SEC teams, especially the ones at the bottom for this season yet. I've done no research. I used to help on a preseason magazine, and that's kind of funny to say because I hate preseason polls. But so I don't know anything about anything yet. I've done no research yet on anybody. And so I'm going straight off the dome.
This is exactly why I wanted to do this, because I want national perception. And you went under. Is that correct?
I did go under. Yeah,
okay, here's one you historically have been a little more in tune with. Mississippi State is also at 4.5. Any thoughts there? Lebby obviously makes the move with Arnett. We're going over. Okay, Kentucky.
They're going to a bowl.
As they snuck in last year. They have a brutal schedule, but I really do like that roster. Okay.
I think 6 wins though this year. They were 5-7, snuck into a bowl. I think this year they're going 6, maybe 7.
Ooh.
Again, don't know their schedule at all. I'm just shooting from the hip here.
Kentucky has a brand new staff with Will Stein. They're also at 4.5. This is the SEC darling, a little bit, a dark horse to kind of pull some upsets. But I like 4.5. I like 4.5. I think it's in a good spot.
Tough one. That's a tough one. I would say I'm going to say under, but I think it's going to be 4.
Okay.
It's not going to be 3 or 2 like Arkansas might be.
Okay, here's one, Casey, where we've seen them elevate in the past few years. Craig and I are both on record saying that the Vanderbilt Commodores will be down again in 2026. Their over-under is at 5.5. Your thoughts?
I'm going under there as well.
I think that's the easiest one here at the quote-unquote bottom to hammer.
Smoke and mirrors the last couple of years.
Yep. All right, let's make our way into the teams that are around the bowl marker. South Carolina. We talked about them earlier, 6.5.
I'll say over there. Lenoris gives you 2 wins if he can stay healthy, at least by himself.
And the schedule of South Carolina's friend this year.
And their roster's better than it was last year.
Yeah, you get Arkansas, Mississippi State, and Kentucky in that SEC slate. You start off with Kent State and Towson. So in theory, if you win the games you're supposed to win, you got 5 off the rip.
Don't do an Old Dominion in week 1,
correct.
Make you poop your pants in week 1. That's never good.
6.5 for Auburn as well. We just talked about what's going on in the Plains. That perhaps, Casey, is what set the expectations at 6 wins.
I think that's tough. That would be tough too. I think again, Vegas doesn't lose very often. I'm going to go over, but just by 1.
Also a 6.5. Missouri, Austin Simmons, obviously the big addition there. What does Ahmad Hardy give you after being shot in the offseason and now rehabbing that injury? It's the best 1-2 punch in the SEC from a running back standpoint, in my opinion.
Yes.
Now you add Austin Simmons, maybe the best quarterback that Drink has ever had, or maybe he's just a total bust and we get a little more of the turnover machine from him. We'll see what happens. But 6.5 for the Fighting Maggie Johnson Tigers.
I'm deathly afraid of Maggie Johnson, so I'm going to say over.
Okay, yeah, good point. All right, Florida, brand new coach as well. The win total is 7.5. This has nothing to do with this year, but I will say tied for second nationally with 16 blue chip recruits in the 2027 class. They're getting after it on the recruiting trail, top 10 class already for the Gators. But in 2026, 7.5. for who's the quarterback? We don't really know.
I'm going to go under, but it's going to be 7.
I think that's beautiful. I think that's a great pick. Great pick.
Yeah, I don't like it though, but I think
we got a lot of 7.5 here. We're at Tennessee next. We talked about them earlier. Quarterback questions. We went through the schedule. What do you think? 7.5 for Tennessee.
If you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one. I'm going with the fighting Chris Marlers. I'm going over.
Okay, so we'll see if one of those quarterbacks grabs it early on. Speaking of quarterbacks, John Mateer's back in Norman, and they're also at 7.5 after a playoff appearance in 2025.
I don't know why, but I'm 7.5 for them after a playoff. That's a sucker bet. I think I'm going to say over, and I think I'm wrong.
I think you should say over too. I think that their running game will be stronger, and if that takes the load off of Mateer on the ground, I think that as long as he's not a total gunslinger, I think it turns into a better situation. All right, also 7.5 off of a not just a playoff appearance, but one play away from the national championship appearance. The Pete Golding led Ole Miss Rebels 7.5. Casey.
Again, same idea as Maggie. Deathly afraid of our friend Kara. Under.
Okay. I love the setup there, just to pick them under. Bottom falling out.
Yeah, there's no reason there. Luke Ferrelli is my reason to go under there.
Fair. All right, we talked Texas A&M and where they land or don't land. They're at 8.5. Casey.
Under. There's a lot of unders here, and I don't think the math's going to work out record-wise, but I'm going under.
I have them at 8-4, so I'm taking the under as well. Speaking of 8.5, LSU, Lane Kiffin, brand new show, $50 million roster. I think they got to win more than 8, theoretically. Yeah. But what do you think here?
After they lose the opener, I think they go on a run and they're over.
Okay, I love that take. We're clipping that for sure. Alabama's also at 8.5. Casey, is this if they go under right here, it could be the end for Kalen DeBoer. What do you think?
I'm going to say under, and again, I don't know why, but it is the unknown at quarterback. Even though we think he's going to be dynamic, we think he's going to be fantastic. You scared me earlier with the lines of scrimmage comment, so I'm going to say under.
We just had it, and I think Phil Steele. Let me pull up I think I have it right here.
I think Tennessee gets them this year, and Courtney may kill me for that, but I think Tennessee gets them.
Well, I know you don't like preseason, but Phil Steele has their offensive line rated at 61st nationally. So,
and that's completely out of the norm for Alabama. Yeah. They usually beat you coming off the bus with those 5 guys up front on both sides. Well, yeah, it's not 5.
I think that's the big question mark. That's what gives everybody some pause there. Okay, 2 teams left. They're both at 9.5. We'll start with Texas.
Over.
I agree. And Georgia.
I think they're just over.
I agree as well.
Yeah, I think those are the 2 best teams going into the season on paper.
Where do they stand nationally? In your mind?
They're top 3, and the only other team I think in my mind that's right there with them is Ohio State.
Of course, yeah, and we're back to more of the same.
And nobody's giving Ohio State any talk. I don't know. They're staying off the police blotter. They're staying off the big time NIL deal. Like they're just no one's reading about them. They can thank Brandon Sorsby. They can thank the World Cup. Maybe I don't know. I'm locked into Twitter and sports news, and I have not read a thing about Ohio State, and that scares the bejesus out of me.
Yeah, I agree with you. Them moving in silence is not what the rest of the country really wants to see, and Georgia's kind of doing the same thing.
That's true too.
Except for when they get pulled over,
the police blotter, right?
That still happens. Okay, Casey Cregan, we appreciate you being with us as always. Go enjoy the rest of your night. Back to work tomorrow. Like most of the rest of the country. Hope everybody had a fantastically safe and enjoyable 4th of July. I'm Rob Williams. For my good friend Craig McMichael and, of course, Casey Cregan, thanks again to Matt Anderson for being here tonight. This is SEC Sunday Night on the Chief Sports Network, and we'll see you next time.